Didn't have to work because God would provide for him. Well, man don't work, man don't eat.
Right.
So that kind of goes in with this too. You can ask. You have to ask for things, but you have to have faith that he will answer your prayers. And faith without works is dead. It says in James that faith without works is dead. You can have all the faith you want, but if you don't apply some form of work with it, you can't expect your prayers to be answered. And asking is a work. That's you putting forth the effort to ask for something. And then when you ask for something, say for instance, if I ask for a long, healthy life, and I just sit back and say, okay, I can do whatever I want. I can go smoke my cigarettes, and I can go out and eat all the fatty foods I want, and never exercise and everything, and I'm going to live and be a ripe old age because I asked God for it, and I've got the faith. More than likely, you won't live to be old because you have to do the work of taking care of yourself too. He gives you that wisdom. I'm not saying you can't ever eat something that's not good for you, but you have to take care of your body. Exercise a little bit. You can't just sit and lay around in the bed all the time and stay healthy. You can't do that. He tells you that in his word, that you have to eat right. You have to take care of the body. He gives you health laws. So he gives you the wisdom to know what to do. And if you don't go by his will, it's his will that you take care of yourself. It's his will that you follow what he teaches. If you don't do his will, then he's not going to answer your prayers. It's always thy will be done, not my own. It's the way we should ask.
Amen.
That's where I went to with that. The faith without works is dead. Don't worry about the future, because if you ask for it and you work for it, you'll get what you want. You'll get what you need. And speaking of what you want, there's a lot of people that won't come to Jesus because they say, I can't do what I want to anymore. I can't do what I want. I can't have the things I want. But the thing about it is, when I came to Jesus, I found out I can do everything I want to do. Everything I want to do is okay, because what I want to do is please him. And that's what we should all have, that mentality. We want to please him, not ourselves. And we have to work and do our best to be servants of his. And doing the works, there's no work you can do on your own to get to heaven. Your works won't get you to heaven. You can't work your way into heaven. There's only one way to heaven. God said, or Jesus said, which was God's Son, he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. There is no way to the Father but by me. You can't do it on your own. You can't do it without him. He is the path. He is the one who went to the cross and died for each one of us. He's the one who laid his life down for us. Carried the cross up the hill on his back that it was beaten and scarred. And they nailed him to that cross, and then they stood him up, suspended between earth and heaven, because that's the pathway. He's the gateway from earthly things to heaven. He's the way we can put away earthly things and become children of God and make it to heaven. He's the only way we can get there. He's the only way. But does that mean we don't have to work on being better people? Does that mean we don't have to do any kind of works for God? No. We can't work our way into heaven, but we can accept him as our Savior, and we can walk in his footsteps, and we can do works for him, because it tells us, as I said this morning in Sunday school class, it says that our righteous acts are what weaves our garments. Our robes are woven in heaven by our righteous acts we do here. So you can work hard and have a long rope that drags behind you and someone has to carry it around. Pick up the tail of it. That's what I want. Not that I want to be a fancy robe, but I want to do the work for him. I want to do what I'm supposed to. And your righteous acts can be simple things. A smile to someone who needs it. Or a bag of groceries to someone who needs food. Or you could, depending on what you can do, you can take people places that they have no way of going. I mean, there's all kinds of ways of helping and doing things that show God, and always give Him the glory for it. Don't take any credit upon yourself for anything you do, because without Him, you couldn't do it. He's the one that gives you the power to do it. And we have to work for Him. That's our job. And He'll provide for us what we need. Like I said, last night, we went over our budget more than we were supposed to, and I was like, man, we done bought too many groceries. We done bought way too much. What are we gonna do? Instead of having the faith that I should have had, I guess I kind of backed up a little bit. What are we gonna do? We wasn't supposed to do this. Got out to the car from the store and I pulled up the bank accounts on the phone. Had $1,200, almost $1,300 in the bank that was there that we didn't know was there. It was a reimbursement from when we made our trip to Nashville. From her work, they reimbursed her on the seminar she went to. And we was expecting to get it, but we wasn't expecting to get it right now. And He gave it to us when we needed it. He always does. So I guess that's what I need to pray for, is that He will help me to always trust Him. Don't panic. I mean, so what? What if we was overdrawn? It's not going to keep me from going to heaven, is it? No. I shouldn't do it as a habit or do it on purpose, but it's not going to. If I owe somebody on this earth and I leave this earth, I'm still going to go to heaven. You know. Anyway, I guess that's about all I've got for this. Is just that we're to trust in Him. Don't worry about tomorrow, for He takes care of it. He knows what we need before we even ask. But that don't mean we don't have to ask. We still need to ask, even though He knows. He wants us to ask because that's the work. That's our effort, is ask Him for what we need. Even though He knows. That's like we talk to Him all the time. He knows everything, so what can you tell someone who already knows everything? He wants to hear it anyway. He wants to hear from us. He wants to know that we love Him. Even though He knows we do, or if we don't. He that loveth me will keep my commandments. He said, if you're keeping His commandments, He knows He loves you. And He knows you love Him. But He wants you to tell Him. He don't bother, He never ceases to tell me how much He loves me. Just like last night. It was like a pat on the back. There you go. There you go. There's your money you need. Anyway, I guess that's all I've got. So, short and sweet. We just need to work on trusting God, because He's there for us, and we should be there for Him, and we should be there for each other at all times.